the meeting to order. Adequate notice of the meeting to be held by the Belmar Board of Education on Tuesday, March 14, 2023 at 7 p.m. has been provided in accordance with the requirements of Chapter 231, Public Laws, 1975. Notice of the meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the principal's office of the Belmar Elementary School, 1101 Main Street, Belmar, New Jersey, on January 6, 2023. Notice of the meeting was transmitted to the Asbury Park Press, the co-star, the municipal clerk of the Borough of Belmar, and the Lake Como School District on January 6, 2023. Can we all rise for the flag salute?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone. And we have the roll call.
Sherry Adams.
Here.
Antoinette Olmack.
Here.
Kimberly Check. Brian Conklin. Aileen Fay.
Here.
Rebecca Herbert.
Here.
Michelle Lomas. Jennifer Nicolai.
Here.
Robert Preston. Michelle Corsaia.
Here. Are there any comments from the public on agenda items at this point?
Just one question. What is the e-sport program?
Sports?
Yeah, so we are looking at piloting an esports program just like we did the tennis club and the fishing club. The Manasquan High School has an esports program. When I went to school boards, they had talked about how many schools have esports programs and how it's become a team. And so,
do you know what it is?
No.
Because I didn't
okay,
either.
got it.
Sorry.
I was like,
no.
There's no rules. See you later.
I filled out, but I was
Esports
just like,
is
like
the gaming team.
Oh.
serious gaming.
Oh.
So yeah, so
Video
they
games.
play like
Oh,
one of the more
okay.
one of the really popular games is called Rocket League, and you're basically a car that's playing soccer, and you have a team, and you're trying to beat the other people who are playing soccer. Almost like a FIFA soccer game, except you're a car, and so and then they also have Nintendo games that the kids compete at.
Oh, okay,
And, yeah.
okay.
And so what happens is it creates a safe place for kids to play and to go online and compete with other middle schools. And so there's a camaraderie that comes with it. It's just like being on a sports team or being in a play, where everybody feels part of like this this thing.
And
And by the way, they now have that at the college level.
They do.
And they make a lot of money, I hear.
And
You get Division I scholarships.
Right?
When I went to Atlantic City and won the whole thing.
Yeah, I hear that's like big.
Twice.
So it's exciting. You know, we have the opportunity with ESSER funds to pilot some programs to see what's going to be a fit for Belmar long term. So you know, we'll see how these programs go, and then we'll have to make some tough decisions at some point. But it'll be really fun. There's a lot of interest out there.
Great.
Any other questions? Anyone else? All right, let's move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, so we've had a lot of great positive events happening here at the school. I'm really proud of all the things that have been happening here. Obviously, the Beauty and the Beast show this last weekend was excellent. I came on Saturday with my kids. They absolutely loved it. It was so well done. We had so many of our kids. A lot of board members' kids were actually involved with it. Jack was the Beast, and then the Prince. Annie was Madame Garde-Robe, and Lucas was Maurice. He did a great job as well. I think Logan was on the crew, and I also want to shout out to Antoinette for her help with the costumes and fittings. They were really excellent. And then also want to shout out to Chief Scott for sending an officer to our shows. It's just nice to have that kind of support, especially for a large community event. We coordinated, and she had an officer at both the evening show on Friday and then the daytime show on Saturday. So that was really great. And Riley was really nice. There's a lot of little girls there who wanted to take pictures with the princess, and my daughter included. She's 4, and so they were taking pictures with the prince and the princess and Belle, and it was just very, very, very cute. Today was Pie Day, so that was really great, and Wilton took one for the team. I think she got a pie straight to the face. The video was pretty clear. There was quite a few people there, but it was great. They had it on. There was kids in the gym and also kids watching via video. Trimester 2 ends this week today, and so that means we're 2/3 of the way through the school year. So trimester 2 grades will be going out soon. The St. Patrick's Day Parade was obviously a huge success. We had our band, our cheer, our soccer teams there. I want to thank the staff for helping organize the kids and keeping them on track while we were there. And proud of our Kavanaughs, who are one of UPS's families. Chip was a Grand Marshal, which was really nice as well. And then a shout out to Aiden Chapman. He was last year's 8th grader. He was on the library float behind us. And I thought they were just playing music, but it turns out they were playing live music. And Danny, I guess, had a group of his kids, and Aiden, who I recognized from last year, was like, I know that kid. And so he was lead guitarist and lead vocalist, and he was doing such a great job. It was really neat to kind of see one of our old students kind of showcasing his talents. Tennis supplies and our fishing supplies are coming in. We've got a calendar for using our basketball court for practice, and also McCleary Park. We will coordinate with Barry from the rec department and St. Rose to kind of find out when can we use it, what's available, and we found some space there. And me and Michael are on the hunt for buses for 23-24. We got some meetings coming up. The esports pilot is supported by ESSER funds, which is another thing we were just talking about. And that's a lot of the great stuff that's been going on here at Belmar. So we're really proud of all our efforts, and we're really looking forward to the spring.
Great, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for February meeting? Mac, Fay, any comments, corrections? Roll call.
Ms. Zolman?
Yes.
Mrs. Herbert?
Abstain.
Ms. Nicolay?
Abstain.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Cartelia?
Yes.
Ms. Fay?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
I would abstain, but I think I need to say yes.
Mhm.
You have them approved, so that's okay, I read them.
All right, on to personnel.
Personnel items.
So we have a practicum student from Georgian Court on there. The advisorship for the esports program paid through ESSER funds at that rate. We have a new paraprofessional position, Jamie Guala, to replace a position that resigned, Jessica Mendoza. We also have the resignation of our Alexander Laird and Terry Davis. Terry Davis is moving on to Harvard University to work there. She's moving to Boston, and so we're really proud of her, and we wish her well. And the following substitutes to fill our sub positions, and that's really it for personnel.
Okay. Can someone move the personnel items? Ms. Nicolay, Ms. Fay, any comments or questions?
Glad that Belmar prepares you for Harvard. That's all.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
very capable person. She's always been an asset in our building. Sad to see her go.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Zolman?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Yes.
Ms. Nicolay?
Yes.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Cartelia?
Yes.
Ms. Fay?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes. Who student process, is it your policy committee chair to do that, or you?
Yep. Do you want me to give you
Well,
those?
Sure, I can talk about it. I have some notes from our policies that we approved, the updates. Good news, we can abolish both the road forward and the school employee vaccination requirements, because we don't need them anymore. And the board officers policy, that just has to do with voting. And there was some slight changes, and we're keeping it the way we've always kept it. We can vote verbally by roll call rather than a paper ballot. We're gonna vote by the majority who are present rather than, by paper ballot with, board members who are not present, and that's for voting for any board officers. The other policy, call adjournment and cancellation, is a revised policy. It just has to do with the process of meetings. Also, same thing with the next policy, notice of board meetings. Just to kind of, that one is just to align with the regular, the new statute in line with the Open Public Meetings Act. And then the policy about bilingual and ESL education, slight changes to, rather than every district in New Jersey, developing their own like screening process for kids who speak a native language other than English, there's a statewide screening process to figure out where to place them. Emergency virtual and remote instruction has to do when we're closed for more than 3 consecutive school days. We just have to submit to the Commissioner of Education our program for that. Attendance, just small revisions, but really no change for us. HIV, small revisions that have to do with the way the forms are filled out, the reports are filled out, our superintendent is required to approve them. Student enrollments and enrollment accounting, just wording changes, like from days in membership to, average daily attendance is now called days in membership, little changes like that. Student records, just language updates again. And then last but not least, all of our drills, our bomb threats, our lockdown procedures, and our active shooter drills. Some changes in that are just constantly updating it, and that specifically, especially that all of our security plans are not listed for the public view, so that active shooters don't get to look at how we're gonna respond to active shooters.
Can you move those policies?
Yes, I'll
policy?
move policy.
A second, please. Mr. Preston, any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Almond?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Yes.
Ms. Nicolay?
Yes.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Cartaya?
Yes.
Ms. Fay?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes. Okay, education operations.
All right, so we had the high school assignment placements. We're taking care of that. We've got some security purchases, public textbook purchases, Title IX purchases. 8th grade overnight trip to Woodlock Pines is going to be May 30th and 31st. It's the one night overnight trip. We like to especially put this on here because it's an overnight trip, so we want to make sure we get full approval. We did it last year. It was super successful. Our 8th grade beach day is going to be June 9th. Travel and professional development, or travel schedule, that the school class trips and field trip schedules approved, and then the approval of the 2023-2024 school calendar. And then the last two pieces there have to do with ROD grants, which are regular operating district, which is what we are. And so they're grants offered by the state to make improvements to the facilities. The biggest one is going to be the roof that we're hoping to get approved through a ROD grant and have the state, through this kind of funding, fund about 40% of that metal roof upgrade. And then also our school facilities project for our blacktop, which if you look at the back of the board office, there's kind of steps missing. It's pretty high. It's been stacked on top of each other for quite some time. And so it may be time to pull it down and make sure that our drainage works well for our building and we're not having water seep through the building because it's just been layer on top of layer. It's not as pertinent and not as important as the roof, but we think it's an upgrade that's worth applying for to see if we can get the grant funding for it.
Great.
Just because I'm not on here, just checking, there will still be a breakfast for 8th grade?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yes.
And the graduation was moved?
The graduation was moved.
Just wanna-
Yep, there will be a breakfast, that's always really great. The breakfast pizza from Bruno's is excellent, I don't know if anybody else. And yes, the graduation was moved because we were right up against Madison's graduation, and we know that we're going to have families who we don't want to put in a position to have to make that decision.
Someone move the education operations on. Nicolai, Zelnok, second. Any questions? Any other questions, discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Almond?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Yes.
Ms. Nicolay?
Yes.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Cartaya?
Yes.
Ms. Fay?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes. Okay, would you like to go over the finance items?
Yeah, so the first is just the monthly certifications for February 28th, saying that no budgetary line items has been overspent. So it's not a resolution, just my monthly certification. Just underneath resolutions, so number one is the bills in $1,497,000. Number two is so that we could pay the bills for the month of March that we still don't have some of them yet, and then just report them at the April meeting. Number three is to approve the board secretary and treasurer's reports for January and February 23. Number four is the budget transfer for the months of January and February. Number five is the monthly transfer report for January and February. Number six is the submission of our preschool education aid budget workbook. And then number seven is just our monthly certifications of the board secretary's reports and treasury reports.
Does someone move the finance item? Spade, a second? Saw that. Roll call? Any discussion? Anybody, questions, discussion? Roll call.
So, Mrs. Almack?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Yes.
Mrs. Nicolay?
Yes.
Mr. Presley?
Yes.
Ms. Cartaya? Mrs. Fay?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes. Okay, and then we have the tentative budget
Yep,
discussion.
so this is our next, this is the next step for next year's school budget. This resolution that's up here is allowing me to submit the tentative budget to the county office for approval. As you can see here, the total expenditures for the upcoming 23-24 school year is $6.6 million. Of that, the taxes to be raised is $9.7 million, which is a 2% increase. Of the funds, we're going to be withdrawing $250,000 from tuition reserve. And then on the next page, you have our tuition rates for next year. And then following that is our travel and related expense reimbursement resolution that we have to have submitted with this budget as well.
Okay, and can we just go over the procedure after this is submitted? What happens?
Sorry. So once this gets submitted to the county office, they will always ask me questions, and then I have to reply back to them. Once they actually approve the budget, then we advertise it in the paper, and then we have our public presentation of the budget at our April meeting. I already had the county DA come out to my office. She was here until about 4:30 on Friday. She reviewed both Lake Como and Belmar's budget. She had a lot of questions, but I gave her the binders that I have showing her the backup, so it kind of helped mitigate any questions that she has. And then, so I did this because we're submitting the budget, and I just want to make sure that she sees all the backup, and so this way going forward, it's really going to be easier for us to kind of just, submit it and get it approved. She did have some concerns with some of the things that, me and Jimmy have been talking about. Some of the things that the concerns are, we're using basically about a $700,000 surplus from prior years to kind of get the budget to be, equal out. That normally we have a $200,000 to $300,000 surplus, so we're probably having about an extra $400,000 of surplus that we normally don't have. And then so, plus also we have teachers that are being paid with ESSER funds. So in the 24-25 budget, we're going to be training early. We're going to start looking at things because there's going to be some decisions that have to be made to really be able to afford what we've been doing the last couple of years, especially with the ESSER funds that we're given with the state. That $1.9 million is going to be running out after this upcoming year. So.
Yeah, we weren't anticipating that this upcoming year's budget was going to be as difficult as it is, but with the out-of-district placement costs, tuition costs, transportation costs, which busing has gotten pretty out of control, and then I think everybody's heard about healthcare costs increasing. We've really taken a hit in a way that we weren't anticipating when you start totaling up these different areas that have really increased a ton. And we've had to really take a hard look at where we are now for next year, but knowing that next year we're going to have to really rely on our strategic plan, what have we decided were priorities, and how do we make sure that we're staying in line with our priorities and offer these kids the kind of education they deserve without the ESSER funds being there anymore. So it'll be, we'll get to that, but it's just a little more interesting than we anticipated with those crazy increases in healthcare and such.
Question. I don't remember what our tuition rates were, but these seem high to me. Are they higher than they used to be?
So they have gone up a little bit, especially the one that has gone up is the LD one, and the reason why a lot of these have gone up is because of our enrollment. Their enrollment has decreased a little bit compared to prior years, and that drives the cost. So that's where we're starting to look at where we need to start trying to either cut down costs and save money, because as our enrollment is dropping, that's what affects this thing. And it's the same thing as at Manasquan. I just said at the Ray Como meeting, Manasquan's tuition increase is like 12% this year. We're going to be paying them about, for the regular education student, it's just underneath $20,000 per student. That's not their special program, that's very expensive. But these costs are driving up, and when I questioned the VA over there at Manasquan, he said there's two factors. One, they have the 2% increase on the levy, right? And then they have they're getting a 10% decrease in enrollment. So that's driving it up at 12%. We do have a meeting actually tomorrow morning over there. We're going to be talking a lot about this type of stuff. That was also part of my reason why I wanted the county VA here on Friday, because I wanted her to look at our factors. Like, I mean, our tuition increase, I think, this upcoming year, we're estimating almost a $700,000 increase in tuition overall. Like, that's that's out of district, that's Manasquan, that's RBR. It's not just, Manasquan, but there's a good chunk going there. So that's what our discussion will be tomorrow morning over at Manasquan.
So, we're a school, but it's business, right? And just like universities and private schools, they put money into proactively recruiting, marketing. Do we do anything, or is it just word of mouth? Just curious, because I don't know if we actually promote ourselves.
To get tuition revenue, you mean?
Just for people to move to town, it's a great school, it's like, why would people go here? Why are our numbers down?
I mean, I think we can take a look at that, and, what is it that we can do? I know that I've been in contact with some of the local superintendents about shared services. That if we are able to secure these buses, and we've got a route where their kids are going, why don't we pick you up for the ride? I'll save you some money on your transport route, and then that'll help pay for our staff and reduce our costs. Right?
It's all
we're all-
digital work,
Yeah.
it could be inexpensive, it could be nothing.
Well,
Somehow promoting ourselves digitally.
There has been some articles, I think, that recently, that have promoted our school and being rated pretty high in the county. I have seen, since I started here, I have seen a significant actually amount of tuition income that we have. Besides students being paid by other districts, but parents actually bringing our kids here. So we have seen an increase in that.
Yeah, we've
so
had a
which
lot
is
of
good.
families tour the building.
Mhm.
Some that live in town, that are looking forward, and then some who don't, and are willing to, or considering having their child. If there's space, pay tuition.
Yeah, we have to start thinking more about shared services, I think, because I think enrollment is down everywhere because families are just smaller.
And living at the beach.
And a lot of people are
Yeah.
summer house people.
Right, they're not selling to families
It's,
with children.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
The shared
a mixed
services.
bag in so many things.
So
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
We're
There's
looking
so many
at it.
factors.
So I was gonna say with shared services and with proactive marketing, I'd love to be a part of it, if you had a little committee.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
maybe we can come up with a plan.
We've already started talking about shared services with a couple other districts, so we're starting to look at that. It's not only on the transportation side, but other type of services that we could offer to other districts also. So we're looking at it.
Real quick, one more, since this has been brought up. Is there any way to share services with a school that's not one of our sending, in our sending district? Because I feel like Bradley's very open to shared services, but they send to a different high school. Okay, cool. Yeah, because
Yep.
it doesn't necessarily have to be, yeah.
Yeah, and I know Michael, and we've talked before about, if there's opportunity there, that, maybe, being as close as we are. You know, maybe if there's a staff opportunity and, you know, if there's a need, we can help each other out.
Okay, and so, the public hearing on the budget, once it's approved by the county, is April 27th. I turned to tuition.
That's our next meeting.
Yeah, it's our next meeting.
April 27th.
April
Yeah, we have to have
27th
it.
at 7, will that be here in the auditorium?
I think it will be here unless we're having a presentation.
Okay.
But that is in between the state guidelines. The state, we have to do our public presentation at the end of May through the beginning, end of April through the beginning of May. It was like, I think it's like a 10-day window or something like that, so.
Okay, can I ask someone to move the resolution for the tentative budget? So, second? Any further questions or discussions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Almack?
Yes.
Mrs. Herbert?
Yes.
Ms. Nicolai?
Yes.
Mr. Preston?
Yes.
Ms. Partea?
Yes.
Ms. Fay?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes. Management report?
We don't go there
Really?
anymore.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
we're
don't really
not on.
have it, so I didn't know if anybody, I kept it on the agenda,
In case somebody goes.
just in case someone goes and wants to report it, so should I
Do you
take
have
this
any
off?
input from management? No. Jimmy?
Why did it stop in the call?
Well, it
Maybe
switches.
rotate.
You rotate,
They don't have
yeah.
a seat there.
Belmar go anywhere, and someone go.
You can just
They
go.
did win their championship for the state in,
They do.
Basketball.
in basketball. What, I didn't remember, it wasn't section 2 or something like that?
I don't know what the
I'm sure what
section
section,
is,
but
it
they
was
won the,
boys.
yeah, the boys won the state championship, which
Yeah.
was a big deal, I saw it in the paper.
Mhm.
They crushed them.
Yeah, because there's so many sending districts, only people who have more than 10% of the students get an automatic seat, and everybody else share.
It's a rotating.
I just liked hearing them, because they're like.
I missed it, I was there when it was my last one.
You can be volunteer report.
Did they record it? Sounds good.
I don't know.
It's like 2 or 3 hours.
Did they record and stream it?
It's really,
And you don't
I'm
necessarily
really not
Sure,
sure,
but I'm not 100%
Do
sure.
it another year.
I'll check.
Any communications? Any old business, anyone? Any new business?
You know, I would like to have Chief Scott in, if this is, tell me what you think about this idea. You know how that fire department comes in and they teach the kids about safely exiting your house if you have a fire in your house, they come up with a plan, an exit plan or whatever. I noticed that the New Jersey School Board Association had a whole firearms report, and they, you know, have guidelines on how to safely store your firearms. I wonder if maybe Chief Scott would come in and do like a quick little thing in the auditorium, an assembly, about, and then with like a little pamphlet, just like a one-page thing to take home to their parents about like, here's where you lock up your firearms, here's how you do it, you know, the ammunition's separate and
But
all
is
that kind of thing.
Is that appropriate for the kids?
Well, I would think it's necessary, because if the little one is at someone's house and they're sitting on the table.
Right.
Oh,
mean,
no, I
not for it, but I'm
understand
just
that, but-
thinking,
We do have the sheriff's office come in for bike safety, because that's really appropriately aged
Yeah.
for students, right? It makes sense, they should be wearing helmets. You know, if they have a lesson, I can ask the sheriff's office if they have a lesson that's appropriate for students, that if they come across a gun,
Yeah, don't play with it.
right, and then what they should be doing, don't touch it, report to an adult,
Right,
something along
different.
those lines. I
Right.
think that something along those lines may be appropriate for students, and then, I can also ask Chief Scott, hey, do you have an adult program that you offer throughout the town?
Right, it's
Um,
really, yeah, what I really mean is it's the parents' responsibility
Right.
to make sure the kids don't get their hands on it. It's not the kids' responsibility to quell their curiosity if they see one. So, right, to have something with the kids, you know, but I think the idea is, I guess I was thinking they come home at night and they tell their parents, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like maybe if something
It might be
was.
telling they showed them how to use a gun.
Yeah, then you'll get all the calls, you'll be
also
loving
Chief
me.
Scott could do 3 different ways, like the little ones, and then like age appropriate.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
just-
I'll ask her if they have a program in town
A
for.
parent university isn't a bad idea though, because
No. And I don't care if they wanna host it here at the school,
Yeah.
for parents if they wanna come by and get some information here.
Or just like a one-page flyer that goes home with all students that the parents see, and an email that the parents see, like, here's what the wisdom is that everybody says, the NRA, everybody says, this is how you're supposed to store your guns, you know, that kind of thing. I think that would be a good
Do
idea.
we do any type of drug related?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, our counselors do a lot of anti-drug
okay,
messaging and,
'cause that's getting crazy.
yeah, and, you know, we also do we do the bike safety, the water safety program for our older kids, and then we also do the train safety piece. I'm also talking to Goldfish Swim School, which they don't have necessarily right here in the Belmar area, but they're in Groton, New Jersey, and they do a lot of instruction for young students, for really little kids, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, about pool and water safety as well. So they bring in like a goldfish, he's like a mask guy, he's really fun, so they do it in a really great way. I was talking to the manager, they're gonna come by, and we're gonna set up a date for them to do an assembly for our young kids. And just kind of being safe around water, because we're kind of surrounded by water, you know, in Belmar. I think it's really important to start that message early. But I know that Mr. DeRouge does his water safety instruction as well, so.
Does he touch on the jetties and not to warn them?
Yeah, he does, and I've talked to him about it as well. They do touch on the jetties and rips, and that how rips form, what happens, what you should do, swim sideways. So that's a big part of being in a beach town, is recognizing that the river runs a little faster than you think. And that, you know, if you're near a jetty, you can get really pulled out. And even not near a jetty, sometimes in the middle of the beach, and the water looks a little different, that's gonna pull you.
I'm
And-
talking walking on them, because we had those two students.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know that that's part of his program as well. And being a longtime lifeguard here in Belmar, I know that he knows all the tricky spots that kids get themselves into. Teacher and lifeguard, I think I'm sure he's got it covered. I talked to him first, and he's like, no, I got all that covered. I'm like, okay, good.
My
I
son
was
came
like,
home and raved
I trust you.
about it. Like, he
Yeah.
learned things, and I thought he knew everything, and he didn't.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
Any other new business?
I have a question. School starts at 8:05 or 8:10?
Do we open the doors at 8:05?
Okay.
8:15, we close the doors.
Okay,
And then at once 8:15 hits, students they have to go to the front office.
okay. So if, my kids have to be early all the time, but I'm seeing a lot of kids coming around 8, you know, because they want to be on time, prompt. You know, sometimes you could be sitting out there in the car lane and it takes 10 minutes to get through Main Street. It's been pouring a lot lately. I think we've spoken about this before, but if they get there early, it's like you can't time it always. They're out there in the pouring rain. Is that anything that we could do to let them come in, like maybe go into the
So
cafeteria?
kids that that do come early, that come for breakfast can use the cafeteria.
But I think you have to be in by 7:50
Yeah,
in order to go
it's
for breakfast.
From 7:40 to 7:50 for breakfast.
Right, so I'm just saying, like, if they get there at, 8:55 or 7:55, they can't, and if it's raining, it's hard, you can't sit in the car.
I know.
You can't, it's just hard, because you can't sit in the car, because Officer Bruce is gonna be like, come on, hurry up. And it's like, what do you do? Like, the kids are in the pouring rain, and it just.
They went in before COVID.
Well, is anyone?
They used to go in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They
'cause
would
once,
take them in the
you know,
auditorium
The staff
and the
have
gym,
the
right?
time to get in, get to their posts, and then open the doors at 8:05. It would require a stipended position to have somebody supervise them. and-
is that something that could be like, my husband asked this, like a volunteer thing, where moms on rainy days could come and staff it? I just think, it's hard for them to be out in the rain, and it's like, what do you, I'm not gonna say a little rain is gonna kill you, but sometimes it's pouring, and you can't wait in the car, it's like, you can't time it.
Umbrellas?
If it's not raining, you just
My
hang
son
out
would
in
ever
the
use an
front.
umbrella.
So,
Yeah, they hang out by the side
Adults?
doors.
I thought there were always adults.
There's adults, right at 8:05, they open the doors.
No, but I thought I've seen people are hanging out outside, other adults, I thought,
I don't think we have anybody on staff on duty at that time.
It's such a small window.
It is, it's like, 7:57 to 8:05, and depends on the day. Sometimes I'm out there at 8:04, because I like to be at arrival, and there's like 5 kids milling around. And other days, there's like 15 kids sitting around, and it's kind of like, it's hard to tell, and it's only for a few minutes. I mean, I think we could, why not take a look at some possible options?
And if a mom doesn't, I'm saying a mom because we do everything, sorry. A mom would do it for like a full week, and the next mom, because if it's every day, it's gonna be a little difficult to manage.
All right, I'm willing to take a look at options. I think it gets funny with the contractual day of the staff, and then you want to shift somebody, you know, like, there's a few things to consider. Because if I'm, and then, you know, if we're taking the responsibility of supervising them at that time, what does that mean? And if it's a volunteer, there's a few things for me to iron out. Let me put that closer to my front burner.
Do teachers have posts at the end of the day?
You do.
Jimmy, have
Could
you
you swap
ever
one?
used like a period zero philosophy? I could
Just
talk-
go to their
yeah,
home
I
rooms.
could, like, instead of a 1 through 9, you could do a 0 through 8.
Oh, got it. So the person's schedule could run a little differently. They might leave earlier,
Right.
but they're gonna be coming.
So the post at the end, in my school, the person who does the 15 minutes at the end gets excused early to do
Right, so they
15
can get out
minutes,
of here in the morning.
and they like it. Usually pick somebody
Who
who
likes to
volunteers,
be there.
well, because their kids, it works for their own kids' schedule, and they get to leave early and pick their own kids up,
All right.
usually.
All right, I'll take a look at
That's good.
what kind of staffing could help as far as
Usually
that's concerned.
Someone who doesn't
And then
have a homeroom.
what option would
Right.
we have for where to bring the kids? I wouldn't want it to be like, hey, it's gonna be open gym for,
No.
No.
but if
Well,
it's,
you would
How
only
about
do it
the
if it's
lobby
bad
right
weather.
there?
if it's bad weather. And/or the person can just hang out outside for those few minutes, and the weather's bad, okay, you can open the doors. If it's not, then we're gonna stick with what we got out here.
I'm just saying 10 minutes, I'm not saying a half an
No,
hour. I'm
no,
saying, like,
that's it.
so if it's 8:05, the
15
door's
minutes,
open, then maybe 7:55, because you just can't, like, judge it.
All
And
right.
the doors close at for the breakfast people at 7:50, you said?
Yes.
So between 7:50 and 8:05 is really a full 15 minutes, when the doors are closed.
Could they go down all those steps into the cafeteria and just hang out there? Almost like aftercare,
Yeah, they did.
just because it's one.
They did that before?
They used, the little kids sat in the auditorium, they got in, cause you used to be able to play outside in the morning. And bad weather, they went in there, and the bigger kids went in, was it the gym or the cafeteria? It was always open early, school. There's never. Not, yeah, and then COVID is when they
It's probably
stopped
COVID changed
that
that.
before.
And you have
And
a
it
few
was more
years
for the
where-
rainy days or the snowy wind over here for the kids that.
Below when it's freezing.
Yeah, yeah, if it was below whatever, they got to go in.
Yeah.
All right, let me take a look at that. Maybe there's a way for us to, and I'll see what structures we had in place beforehand, and maybe able to find something. If I know there's somebody with institutional memory of what we used to do, and let me see if I have any technical kind of documents that kind of also highlight what we've done before, and then get some feedback on what's worked and what hasn't in the past, and see if we can come up with a plan.
Quick question
All right.
about students that we sign can walk home, they're on their own, they can walk home, blah, blah. When they're leaving school and they're signed to go off on their own, do we still require that a teacher waits for them outside? Like
Only if
after
that's,
music, I was late getting my son and the Schleinbeck was there and I felt terrible, it was terrible out. And I was thinking, well, she didn't need to do that because he can,
No, she doesn't.
so I didn't know if we require to wait for the last person no matter how they leave.
I guess it depends. If they don't have a permission slip to walk, then it would have to be, I can't release them, right? So if I've got a 5th grader whose parent doesn't have that release to walk, then I'm not gonna release that
But he has a
student.
release to walk, but he's
Yeah.
waiting for me at the corner.
Right,
well,
right. Then in that
she was
case,
waiting.
you know,
Yeah, it was
what
very
we'll have
nice
to
of
do
her,
is
but-
just make sure everybody's aware of like, of the fact that that student does have the release. And
Yeah.
he's an 8th grader, he's
Yeah.
probably okay to go.
Just in case, I guess for her, just in case, okay.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, when you're a coach, the same thing goes. Like, when all the kids leave, but you're kind of waiting for one parent. You never know. But maybe we can offer some clarity on what we should do in certain situations, so that the coaches know as well.
Not a big deal, I was just,
No, I think it's important enough.
yeah.
You know, I think it's worth bringing up.
We want to congratulate Max Wortman, because he won the spelling bee. Did an amazing job.
Thanks.
His parents and yours.
Not because of us.
Any other new business? Any comments from the public on any item? Okay, there was a tie in terms of answers.
I think Jackie
Speak
had.
first.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever talk like to the other districts, or do you ever get anything from the other districts about like different things they run at night for the parents? Like, my girlfriend, her daughter goes to Mounts, and she's like, oh, do you wanna come to this with me? So she sent me this big email that they got like, at Brookdale, symposium, on mental health, and then there was one, parenting in the digital world, one was run at Seagirt, then there was another one run at, Mount, and they seem to share information and invite, you know, the parents to them. I don't know if do we get that information from the other
We
districts?
did, for one of those, and I sent it out, it had to, I think it was in the newsletter, I think it had to do with the digital and security or something.
Okay.
But I've been in contact with them, they're starting to offer more programs, our other school districts, so
Oh, that would
when
be
they do
good,
share it
yeah.
with us, we send it out.
Yeah, I just wondered if
because
they
it's
did
valuable.
share.
If-
Yeah, no,
if
it
there's-
is. I didn't know if we like had a contact person that you could share with, 'cause that would be
We
good.
could probably discuss it in your roundtable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
That
gonna be
would be
meeting
nice.
with all those people from the Central District tomorrow in Manasquan.
That would be
So-
great if somebody ran something at night just to throw it out there.
Yeah, absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
And Heights did just write to us at PTO that they just had last night, one of the Sandy Hook dads. And it was, yeah, they did invite us, so I mean, I posted it like from our end as PTO, because that's where it was sent to, so, and I believe that Mary might have sent it out too, I'm not 100% sure,
Yeah.
but, so, they definitely do invite us, that I have to say, because it's been 2 or 3 things that they did through us. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna read because anybody who knows me knows that I tend to get off track, so I wanna stay on track. This was old business, so I don't know if I'm gonna write.
You're in public comment, that's fine.
Okay, so last meeting I missed, I just wanted to ask, you're doing the teacher's lounge, and do we know the dates of that? Like, is it gonna be completely closed at any point, or no? The reason why I'm asking this is we do teacher appreciation stuff, and I just wanna make sure.
Me and Michael have actually, we were just talking
Okay.
about that this week, and we're doing the work in the summertime.
Oh, okay, so we're good to go.
Because our bathrooms are gonna get repoured anyway with epoxy, that bathroom's also gonna get repoured.
Okay.
So all that work's gonna happen so that we're not interfering with the teacher's use of the
Alright,
space.
so we can move forward with our detail, okay. I am so excited that Belmar got the extra grant for the after-school academic support program. I'm certain that is gonna help our test scores go up and benefit all of our students. This leads me to my question that I've been wondering about for a while. How are staff members selected for after-school positions? And how much thought is put into their placement when they are chosen? I started thinking even more on this when I read the agenda item number 7 from the February meeting. It lists the teachers' names, and one name in particular actually shocks me to my core that I can cry over this. I expressed my concerns to administration on this particular teacher, which Mr. Alvarez knows very well, he got brought into it when he got here. So this was Holman. During the 21-22 school year, along with several other parents. It is my understanding that the same thing happened this year. Action was taken, and this particular teacher was removed from teaching her class. I don't know if you guys know this. While this person may be academically qualified and knowledgeable in the content, an after-school, state-funded academic support teacher should be kind, approachable, understanding, motivating, patient, and most of all, encouraging of all students, and not be belittling or condescending to kids who are clearly in need of this outside help in the classroom. My son being one of them. I implore the board to look into how teachers are chosen for these types of positions and how much thought goes into placement of educators in these positions, because this is a detriment to our kids in our school. Thank you. No, because I know you guys can't answer me, so that's why I'm just ending it on that note.
No, we appreciate your
Yes,
comment.
thank you so much. It's, you know what, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, but there's a very serious issue with this. And the person's getting paid with state-funded money, so that's why I'm completely shocked and floored. When I saw her name, I literally almost fainted. So, and actually, my child could have had her. And there's a person in this room whose child does have her. And this is a person who also is at administration. So why would this teacher be put with a sibling is beyond me. The words, I don't even have words to explain. She actually mentally abuses my child. He's in 8th grade now. Last year in 7th grade, he was mentally abused. And that is 1,000% what happened to my son. If I had $1 for every teacher this year that told me that my child is different this year, like, it actually sickens me. And she's teaching to children who need help. Do you know what I'm saying? So she belittles and condescends children, and now she's teaching children who need help, who may not be able to come and say, hey, this lady is like not treating me very well. So.
Okay, well, I appreciate your
Thank
comment.
you.
We will,
Thank
as
you.
you know, we can't discuss
Yes,
any personnel
yes,
issues.
I know.
You did the right thing in going through the administration. That is the proper chain of command.
Yes.
If there's a need for something to come to us, I'm sure it will.
Thank you.
But we appreciate your comment.
Yes, I would. That's why I came here to do this, because I saw her name on here and I thought the board should probably know what you guys are checking approvals on.
I just also want to say thank you. I think it's so important to bring the issues to the board too.
And not to interrupt you, I want you to know this comes from a place of like, because I love this school. Everyone knows,
I know
Rich,
you
my son's graduating, and I've been here since kindergarten. I do anything. I dropped my schedule last week to come in here to sell yo-yos.
We sell yo-yos.
Right? So this is where my love for this school, and that's why I think I've become so enraged and annoyed, and I don't want there to be a taint in the school. And there is. There is. And no one can tell me different because it happens to my son.
I'm glad you're not mentioning any names but
Yes, and that's why I tried.
I'm
That's why I
glad that
read
you're
right off of the
here.
paper.
Yeah, but I just want to say that's exactly what
Thank
this
you.
is about. It's about the kids, that's
Thank you.
the things that we
Yeah.
should be talking about at board meetings.
Yeah.
And it takes a village and
Yeah, and I
we
want
need
to
to be-
advocate. I want to advocate
Yeah.
because it's our school's beautiful and I love it and I want people to love it and I want all the teachers to be as equal, because I can't tell you that the teachers are rainbows, unicorns, and puppies in this place, and I love them all. And then bam, you get her, and it's like my system is shocked. My kid, she changed my son. She actually changed my son, and it just sickens. It really sickens me.
There isn't a specific teacher. I have a question with that as well with regards to the coaches of the sporting team in sports. So, I've just been with both of my kids, they're in every single sport. I'm just curious how the coaches are chosen, volunteered, are they monitored, are they rated?
I assume there's a process to apply for the position,
They
and the
just get it 'cause
superintendent
they
makes a
apply.
recommendation to us.
Okay. I have a lot of opinions on that, so.
Is that how it gets chosen though? Like, does it come to Mr. Alvarez and Mrs. Walton and then you guys choose? Like, does it go in a pool or, like, let's just use Mr. Pedersen for fishing club. That's what I originally was gonna
Sure.
say. Like, was there 10 people that got chosen and he got picked because he knows fishing so well? Like, how does that?
Right, so we'll put out for a stipend, hey, there's a stipend opening to the entire staff. People apply, take a look, okay, who's qualified to do this, who's got the drive, who's got the interest and the expertise, okay, fishing club. And Mr. Pedersen's motivated, he wants to make
Yes.
this happen for the kids. He's got a bunch of kids on board now.
Love it, yep.
It's really great, I think some things are a natural fit like that.
Yep.
Right, and then there's some times where, a coaching position, for instance, there's one person that puts out for it. And we have one, okay, we got somebody who's willing to put it, to
And
offer.
parents are not allowed to be coaches or assistant coaches.
We
You
have
have a
had
lot of
parent
parents that would love to
volunteers,
help.
we have had parent volunteers, but they can't be in charge. And then, because then they become an employee of the
Well, they
district.
have to be a certified
Yeah,
staff.
unpaid. Because we've been told, at least for the last 5-6 years, that you can't help,
No,
like being an assistant
You
coach
can
or.
volunteer.
No, we've had people volunteer, and we approve them as
Matt Donovan
volunteers.
is, he's,
Yeah.
basically. Oh, he's just a dad.
I was thinking other, just a sport, but, okay. I was told, because there was a sport years ago that we were told, no, what you got is what you got.
I'm not aware of that.
I have asked too late a couple of times in a row about a stipend. I wanted two people to share the stipend so that, better for the kids, better for everybody, make sure everything happens right. But I was always too late in the process, because it's part of their contracts that get negotiated.
Yeah, it's negotiated.
So it has to be before the contract gets negotiated. So if there's anything you can alert us to when we can take action on this kind of thing.
Well, we can't take action on who gets a job, but we could, if you think there's a need to restructure stipends, or whether
So-
there needs to be two or one or whatever.
So, yeah, I mean,
But
that would
that's in
be,
negotiations,
yeah, that would probably
And
be
that
negotiations.
happens.
and we just finished it.
So that
Just
happens in,
so
so in the
3 years.
fall, we need to be, yeah,
When we're-
we need to think about this stuff, in the fall.
There, I mean, teachers can decide to
One
come
more
together and
year.
try and split one, like cheer. So, we have Miss Livingood and Miss Murphy decide, hey, can we come in together? That's their decision, that's not mine. I can't, by the contract, you know, put them in that position. They can come to me with it, because, you know,
Because it's mutually beneficial to them.
to them.
But the minute you decide to split it, you might not get as many applicants.
And I
Right,
can't
because
do
they
it.
want, they're not getting paid very much, but.
Right, and then you have written it in stone,
Yeah, you
works
have
for
to-
1 year, but it may not work in 8 years.
Mhm.
Because now you want more people, and you're now not paying them enough, because it's a one job. Which is great if you're working your best friend, but may not be the case in 8 years.
I will
Yep.
say that during this last round, we looked at the stipends to see about how many hours we anticipated it would involve, and tried to adjust the stipends so they were consistent with what was gonna be expected.
Right, right.
I'm also assuming that some sports don't want volunteers. I'm like, oh, thank you for your help, but okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
that
That
that's
might
possible.
be the case as well. I'm not sure, I don't even know what you're talking about, I'm just saying,
Yeah, I mean,
that
that's
could be
possible.
possible, right? You can
Yeah,
volunteer
2
and
hours,
say,
I'll
no,
tell
thank
you.
you.
I tried to volunteer for my kid's soccer team. the coach
Well, there are,
said,
I was just saying, there are volunteers.
there are volunteers and
Yeah.
then there are
Right, so I
volunteers.
don't,
Exactly.
some people don't like to work with others.
Yeah, it's like the plumber that gives you his rate, and then he gives you the rate if you're gonna help, which is higher.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Any other comments? Yes.
Yeah. I have a feeling I would.
Can you just tell us?
Yep, my name is Rick Wortman. I have 2 sons that go to school, Belmar Elementary, 2nd grade and 7th grade. I have a feeling what I'm going to tell you is probably the same person that Virginia was talking about. Similar issues. I had a long thing kind of written up, but I'll try to keep it short. Basically, our son Max, he's in 7th grade, he had this teacher. And had some issues with her at the beginning of the year. I'll keep her name out of it. Issues were centered around the teacher's behavior and the way that the teacher treated not only Max, but some of the other students. Cannot speak for the other students, but Max definitely felt belittled and put down by this teacher to the point where it was negatively affecting him in class and throughout the rest of the school day and at home every day. Because of this, my wife and I contacted the school to address these concerns, and I exchanged several phone calls, emails, and direct meetings with school administrators. In fact, in one of the first meetings, Max actually came in and told the administrators about how he felt, crying to them, which took a lot. I mean, he's in 7th grade. He feared being retaliated. He was worried that the teacher was going to find out about it. So it was very brave of him to do that. There's a lot more details that we could go into, but moving on from that, a piece of this was resolved when the teacher was moved out of the role as homeroom and normal classroom teacher and into a different position. Therefore, Max would not be in that teacher's class or have direct involvement anymore. However, the reason I'm here tonight is because I'm interested to understand if things like this do get reported to the board, and if anything has formally been documented about this teacher in a personnel file or any other type of disciplinary or personnel type actions. Just so you know, we did express our desire to have the concerns that we brought and any input and outcomes memorialized in writing so that we would all have documentation to refer back to if need be, and we have never been told if that was done or not. So that's another question that I have for the board, if it's possible that they can review the teacher's personnel file to ensure it's been updated and is accurate. It's my understanding that the teacher has had many complaints submitted from students and parents over the years, some formal, some not. So I think it would be in the best interest of the school as well as the students for these types of things to be documented appropriately so that there would be recourse for repeat or future actions. I understand that it's not easy to just fire a public school employee. We're not looking to get somebody fired here, reprimanding them in certain ways or negatively impacting their career. But by formally documenting these complaints, it would allow leadership and personnel such as yourselves to be in a better position to deal with future issues. It appears that this teacher has not suffered any negative impacts to the unbecoming conduct or behavior, but merely moved during a reorganization that forced changes with many other teachers that in effect actually gave this teacher exposure to more students. Also, as previously mentioned, this teacher was recently selected to a new position or an extra position with additional pay to provide extra help after school, again, furthering this teacher's direct involvement with more students. This is very concerning considering the teacher's history. In fact, we were warned by some school officials before the beginning of this school year that this teacher has a different and harsh classroom style, and because of our son's disability, he has hearing loss, it would make sense for us to meet with the teacher before school started to discuss expectations. It's not a good look for a school to be offering warnings about their own teachers, and instead of dealing with the root cause, encouraging parents to try and diffuse issues before they even start. Of course, there's always hearsay, gossip, and rumors, but when formal complaints are elevated, I hope the school administrators are documenting for their own good and for the good of current and future students, and I hope that the board can provide more insight and guidance into expected protocol so that they become aware of issues such as these. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just explain to you the difference in terms of the role of the board. So there are only certain personnel issues, like the board doesn't review everyone's personnel file. They're not allowed to unless there's a need to. So if you bring concerns, you bring your concerns to the administration. The fact that we may not know of any specific document does not mean it doesn't exist. It means that if there's an issue, it has not been at a level where it requires any kind of board action, and there are certain personnel actions that require the board to be involved, but the board's not really allowed to, like, on a day-to-day basis be in there making sure who does what and everyone is doing what they're supposed to be. We can certainly set the overall protocols, and we do have expectations in terms of how the students are treated and all of that, and you're right to share those concerns to the administration. To the extent they have concerns that they would bring to us, we would be discussing that in a closed session. But you know, I don't want you to think just because you haven't seen or you haven't heard us discuss anything about a specific employee doesn't mean that there's not been any documentation of the concerns or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Just, I hope, I mean, as she said back there, if these concerns are continued and certain teachers keep getting more roles or more exposure to students when maybe they shouldn't be, like if there's,
I think that's what shocked us.
I don't know.
How was
I don't know what else
I
you
don't
can
think they
do.
were talking tonight, to be honest with you. So I think I saw that, Brian brought it home, I wasn't here, Brian brought it home, and I'm like, wait a second. I don't know, I just feel like those kind of positions,
Like, who
like, for
approved her?
special, like,
Doesn't
you know
it-
what I'm
it
saying?
doesn't go to the
it just
board?
doesn't make sense.
The approval of stipend positions.
But not, you don't know who
appointments
it's for, or you know?
go.
You know who it's for?
Well, we know who's on the
You know who's
list
on
to
them.
be approved to get it.
So administrative was the ones that gave you that list?
Yeah.
Okay, so administrative,
That's how it
know
works.
that she was on there, okay. And do you know where else as parents we can go to, if we've gone as far as administration, we've gone to the board, where else we do go to make sure, like, to see things that are documented, you know, like, who do we go to? Cause I've asked from the fall as a parent, and I haven't received
If you
any.
raise concerns and ask to have,
Well, I wanted
your
to see,
concerns addressed
yeah.
and documented, they should be documented somewhere. If
so-
you need to elevate that to
Yeah.
another level, there's probably a procedure where you may be able to bring something to the board specifically, if you have a specific issue to be brought, under our policies probably, it's probably student or parent grievance policy.
Yeah, we can take a look at that.
but we can look.
So you guys don't, you just see the list of teachers, let's just say it's Miss Smith, Miss Jones, and you're just like, okay, well, cause all you're approving is the stipend that they get. You're just approving that the program, cause I saw it on the last one, so you're just approving that the state funding money is gonna go to this new academy program, this after-school academy program. That's what the board votes on.
Yeah.
Not necessarily who the
Not the
teachers
people.
are
Right.
that are getting,
I think
right?
the list.
Right. Like,
The
let's
list-
just make believe, Mr.
No,
Bartley.
we don't make recommendations, but
Yeah.
we say yes or no.
Right. Okay, so let's just make believe that, I keep using Mr. Patterson, just because I know that he just did the fishing
I
club.
really don't feel comfortable talking about a
Okay.
specific person, but.
Oh, no, okay, so
Teacher A,
Mr.
yes.
Jones, let's say
Mr.
Mr.
A.
Jones was doing the dance club, and you didn't really care, you didn't think that Mr. Jones was supposed to be in that position, you thought maybe Miss Smith could have been better. Are you then, is the board allowed to say, maybe we should, look further into this and use her instead of the other teacher?
Well, we don't, as I said, we don't get in the day-to-day, so we don't know if it's a situation where one
Right.
person applied.
Okay.
The exact number of people applied and we need
Okay.
X positions, we don't know if there was a choice of
Okay.
4. That's why we rely on our administration to do
Okay.
the screening and recommend to us.
Got
We
it.
can say no if we personally didn't wanna approve that person.
Okay.
But we're not gonna go delve into,
Right, I
you know,
understand,
the
okay,
process.
alright. It's just, it was confusing, it's like, cause it was on the
Yeah,
thing,
I
and that's why
understand.
yes, okay, alright.
We just have, there's pretty strict parameters
Yes.
as to how
Yeah.
much we can get involved into specific personnel
Okay.
items. But we do appreciate hearing from you.
Do the teachers have personnel files that would have these kind of,
The teachers have personnel
then
files.
these kind of complaints would be in those files?
If they're
I was told they
documented
didn't
concerns,
know.
I presume they would be. I mean, it depends what it is.
And is there like
'Cause I-
things like probation and,
Because to our
Like-
knowledge, a previous teacher had his increment. He was ready for his increment, his increase, and there was an issue that happened, and then that was withheld.
Okay, so that would require board action.
So that
So if
would,
something was.
was going.
An increment, there are certain things, if you have a tenured staff member,
Yeah.
there are only certain actions that can be taken. There can be write-ups, there can be other things that are counseling, other kinds of interventions. If you're looking to do something that impacts their salary and/or their employment, then you would have to initiate something before the board. So that's generally the
Yeah.
rules.
I think that's kind of what we're getting at then, because, I mean, so that's my train of thought. It's like our son yesterday had an incident at school and there's a form sent home, like an incident referral form, like, to me, a person, an employee should have those too. So if they're getting 5, 6, 7, 8 complaints, at some point, something needs to happen instead of them just getting moved around or.
And getting
Well, all
more
I'll tell
jobs.
you is that just because you don't know of things happening doesn't mean things are
Okay,
happening.
that's good, as long as there's something being
That's
followed
what
through,
we-
because like I said, but we requested that
Yeah.
ours be documented, and we never even got like a response to that
I
email.
asked about if it was in a person, I was told they didn't know on the phone. So, like, to us, we were hoping that things were going until we saw then our son came home and was like, wow, can you believe this one is now working after school with kids, Mom? I'm like, oh, okay. So from where I was, I thought we were told she would never be left alone in a classroom with a child ever. And if that's something that's told to us, I would think they wouldn't want them then with other children, if that's what was told in a meeting. So we were surprised as well as like Virginia to learn then that
I
person
had to
then
make a
got
special
offered
thing for
another.
my 5th grader, because she's an interventionalist now, so my 5th grader, she is actually in the classroom with him.
In with
But
my
because I
second grader as
asked,
well.
so I don't even know what help he's actually getting. So if my 5th grader needs extra help, I'm not sure where he's going, because that's the person that's in the room with him. And if I don't even want her to hand a flyer to him, a pencil. That's how strong I feel about this, so I'm so confused. I'm just so confused. And maybe we'll have to call Mr. Alvarez on a superintendent type of note and not in a Board of Ed meeting, because I just, she's
That
still in the
probably
classroom
makes
with my
sense.
child, like, so, she mentally abused my first one, there's no way in the world that I can let her do it to my
But
next
we've
one, I
done
just
that.
can't, so.
We've met with everybody.
So I think, I'm Kendi, I'm like co-mom, I've got 4 kids that go here, I have the same teacher too. I think, to your point, when you said there might be things being done that the parents don't know. I have a kid in this school, he has a problem with a kid, and they said, but we're handling this kid, like we're handling it, same with this teacher, we're handling it. But as a parent, as a student, you don't feel seen, you don't feel heard, you think you're being ignored. And it's frustrating as parents to watch your kids cry. So there has to be something that you can say, this teacher is no longer going to do X, Y, Z. This little kid is no longer allowed to do X, Y, and Z. And parents to know it, and we can tell our kids, like, you did the right thing, Joe, Johnny, Susie, you did the right thing by saying something, like somebody wronged you, you said something, and appropriate action is being taken, right? Like, you know, people go to jail, people get tickets, like something physically happens to other, there's repercussions, and that people can see and feel validated and be like, okay, my addresses are being heard, and then it's like, oh yeah, well Johnny pushes me, and I have this problem with this person too. And it's being addressed, and we can know it. Like, it's very frustrating to sit here for 2 years and be like, we keep complaining, and nothing is happening. These little kids keep complaining, and nothing is happening that they can see. And what do we do? As parents, what can we do?
And it was never this way. It's like, my son was here from 3, he started on his 3rd birthday. He's 12 years old. This is not how it ever was. It's just like everything gets swept under the rug, and as parents, you feel like when you speak to anyone, you're bothering them. It's like we're a bother to call to question anything, a bother to call about anything. It's like they don't want to be on the phone with us, and they don't want to email with you. We ask questions. It's the same copied and pasted message, right, to all of us. Literally, word for word, the same copy and pasted thing that doesn't even, we all ask different questions, but it was almost to like, shut us up sometimes that we get the same copy and pasted thing, and it's like you're not even taking the time to answer anyone's concerns, and they're valid concerns that have been going on, and we've been told that oh, we've heard this before, so like, when does it stop? I have a 2nd grader. That's why we're here now. My husband's quiet, would never want to get up and talk in front of people, but he's concerned about our 2nd grader. By the time he gets here, this lady's going to be the principal of the school. Like, she keeps getting moved around and getting something after school. Who knows what's going to happen? And that scares me for him when we've loved the school. Like we said, we have a disabled son, and the school's done so much for him. They've helped him. He does great, but after a while, like, for a kid like him to even want to come talk to anybody, and then he's like, oh, nothing happens to anyone. Like, it's, like Kendi said, there's just, like, there's nothing physical that anyone sees, and I don't know what it is physical that could be seen, but ever be told anything besides someone getting moved.
It seems like she got a promotion.
Yeah.
That's what it
Well,
seems like. Maybe
yeah.
she didn't, maybe we're crazy, and maybe she didn't, but it seems like
But this
she got a
extra thing
promotion.
to now be given to so many more children that need help, this is for them to learn, right? To get better on their testing, because we want the school to get better grades. It looks better for the school district, and that's why we're doing this after-school thing, which is great for these kids. But to give them that as that's the person they go to and they're with after school for extra hours, when everyone knows, like, multiple concerns.
Kids can't even ask questions in the class. They can't even ask questions. I could give you 100 examples. What she did last year, I could give you 100 of them. Disgusting. I mean, it's just, and she's in a position where the kids need help. Kids need help. And a lot of parents don't want to come. A lot of parents are afraid and they don't want to come, so it seems like the same people are just saying the same thing. A lot of parents are afraid. I'm not sure what they're afraid of. They don't want to come and voice their opinion. So.
Well, I think, again, you know, it's our intention to hear and address the concerns that are raised by parents, and that's what we expect from our administration. And I would suggest that you, if you are not, or if you still have concerns that you think are outstanding, make an appointment or set up a conference with Mr. Alvarez, Ms. Wilton, to discuss what your concerns are and address your own specific incident. We can't have a huge meeting of parents all complaining about one teacher, because you can't really discuss every student's issue separately. I mean, you're obviously here at a public meeting, you're saying what you want to say, but we don't have that same luxury, and nor does the administration, in terms of dealing with student privacy and personnel privacy issues. Yeah. But if you have individual situations, I just encourage you to, set up a time to have that conversation.
Thank you. And I think that the administration will be helpful, because if you look at how the tenure of the teacher, and this is the first time that anything's been done, it's not, obviously not done to your liking, and I understand that. And I do, that's why I appreciate you telling us as the board too. But the complaints have been going on for many, many years. So the point I'm trying to make is they're trying, and that says to me that I think a solution, hopefully soon with, keep working together, we'll have.
Any other public comments? Thank you. Okay, just on the agenda, I think everybody has a copy of the agenda, but just so since we're being filmed, we'll talk about the dates to remember. You talked about the trimester marking period ending March 15th, PTO book fair, March 27th through March 31st, honor roll assembly, April 4th, spring break, April 7th to April 14th, the National Junior Honor Society ceremony, April 20th, Bring Your Child to Work Day, April 27th, and our board meeting at which the budget hearing will be held on April 22nd. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Nicolai, all in favor? Thank you all for coming out, and we do appreciate your service.